4 ways high-masking autistic women hide their autism in everyday life. Maybe you already know that many autistic women are so good at masking that these can fly under the radar for decades without being noticed. So in this video, I'll present a basic framework to understand different types of autistic masking. Then we'll go through 4 common masking strategies in detail before addressing the most common misconception about autistic masking. And I should probably also give you a bit of a warning. If you think you might be autistic yourself, you may feel called out as I present your secret strategies and explain how they work. Hi everyone, Paul Micallef here from Autism from the Inside. I make weekly videos sharing the human side of autism, so make sure you hit subscribe to get the latest content. So there are a number of autistic masking strategies. Today we're going to focus on the common ones often seen in high masking autistic women. So a bit of a framework before we get started. Masking strategies typically fall under 2 main categories. First, we have the covert strategies. These are the ones that do not draw attention to themselves. Blending in, camouflaging, hiding in plain sight. They're a little bit like, I don't know if you know the perception filter in Doctor Who. It's a way of hiding in someone's peripheral vision. They can still technically see you, but you don't get noticed. And so in many ways, you're effectively invisible. The other main category are the overt strategies. Think of someone skillfully directing your attention. A bit like a magician using sleight of hand. Here's what I want you to see, and this other thing over here, we're not going to pay attention to that because I'm going to direct your attention to exactly what I want you to focus on. And in doing so, I've effectively hidden everything I don't want people to notice. So when it comes to high masking autistic women, these strategies can be extremely subtle, even if they're really powerful. And so for this video, I'm going to exaggerate the behavior and the effect so that you can get a sense of the strategy and how it works. But in real life, even if you know what to look for, an expert master can still easily have you fooled. Again, just like a really skillful magician, my brain knows they're doing something tricky, but I still can't pick up on what it is. So now that you've got a little bit of background, let's dive into the 4 common ways that high masking autistic women hide their autism in everyday life. And then at the end, I'll address the most common question that everyone asks. You'll probably have this one too by the time we're done. Doesn't everyone mask? Isn't it just a normal part of being socially appropriate? So stick around for that one and let's get started. So strategy number 1 is being quiet. If you build your personality around being quiet, shy, reserved, it becomes a lot easier to hide your reactions and to blame low self-confidence for anything that you're unsure about. Not sure what to say? Just say nothing, as usual. Slow processing time? No one's going to notice because you don't say anything anyway. What happens when you feel uncomfortable? Maybe you feel socially awkward, or the lights are too bright, or you have some other kind of sensory need. Well, it becomes relatively easy to hide that need, hide that feeling, since even the tiniest of smiles is more than you would normally give anyway. Oh, you haven't said anything for a while, someone checks in, oh, I'm okay, don't worry about me, I'm just quiet. This strategy also works really well if there's ever a task you find difficult. I'm not sure what to wear, I'm not sure what to say, I'm not sure what to do, but I'm going to mask that with incredibly low self-confidence. I'm not confident. That's why I'm not sure what to say in this situation. That's why I want you to make this phone call for me. That's why I'm not sure what the socially appropriate thing to do is here. Instead, I can just ask, sorry, I'm just not sure what to do here. Can someone just tell me what to do? Tell me what to wear? Tell me where to sit? Tell me what to say? Leveraging a submissive personality also happens to be a very convenient excuse to hide all your autistic traits. Can you see yourself doing any of those from time to time? These are not one-size-fits-all strategies. Instead, you'll likely find you might catch yourself implementing bits and pieces from all 4 of them. Number 2, the performer-conformer strategy. Following this strategy, I'm going to do everything that's expected of me. It's the classic duck paddling frantically under the water where no one can see and gliding smoothly over the top. It looks like putting in huge amounts of effort, trying really hard, especially socially, being hypervigilant, picking up on every tiny little clue, doing all the right things, saying all the right things, smiling at all the right times, and after a while, the act becomes such second nature that it might as well be your personality. This is one of the hardest types of masking to detect because if you've been playing a character for decades, who are you without that character? Is there anything under the mask? With this strategy, if you have a need, you just smile through it and crash later. If you're finding it difficult to meet the expectations of others, you push yourself to meet them anyway. You work so hard that your performance is flawless. If you ever find yourself in a situation where you're just not interested in what's going on around you, well, you can play a character that is interested in what's going on around you. And that way, everyone's happy. So do you ever find yourself playing a socially appropriate role? Not because it's what you really want to do necessarily, but because it's what's expected of you. And if you're perfect and meet everyone's expectations, no one's going to notice your autistic traits. The third strategy that some people find themselves using is to be cute and helpless. Do you ever find that you're treated as if you're cute and helpless sometimes, even when you don't want to be? Well, for some, why not lean into it? If you're unsure what to do socially, just be cute and silly. Laugh it off, play it down. Leverage the obviously self-centered card, knowing that most people will let you get away with it. They might judge you as shallow or self-centered or even stupid, but no one's going to think you're autistic. Maybe you don't like people seeing you that way, but what's the alternative? The strategy has some pretty clear advantages sometimes. It means whenever you have a need, you can just ask for it, demand it, prima donna style. If you ever find it difficult or even impossible to meet the expectations of others, then just don't. Say you don't care. Say you can't be bothered. Whenever you're not interested, it's just boring. I don't want to do that. Everyone's going to buy it and they'll never know what you're really deflecting their attention from. They'll never suspect that you might be autistic. And remember, I am grossly exaggerating these strategies. In practice, they're much more subtle to the point you wouldn't even notice it's happening. Have you ever asked someone for a favor knowing that they like you and they'll say yes? Can you make this phone call for me? I don't know anything about this stuff. This is really complicated and you know so much about this. Can you do it for me? Okay, the fourth strategy, before we get to the most common objection that everyone has, is making excuses. Now, I know the phrase making excuses has negative connotations a lot of the time, but what if you had a get out of jail free card? A plausible excuse that you could use whenever you needed to get out of doing what you can't do or don't want to do, or for excusing your behavior when you can't meet social expectations. I'm sorry, I'm really tired today. I had a terrible sleep last night. Sorry for not getting back to you. Work's been hectic and the kids have been sick. There are any number of common, plausible excuses. Unsure what to do socially? Make an excuse. Need to leave early? Make an excuse. Not meeting common social expectations, i.e. not effortlessly doing what everyone else is doing? Make an excuse. Personal health, daily responsibility, extenuating circumstances, sleep, kids, work, hormones. I would normally be able to do the thing, except please accept my get out of jail free card. The truth, though, is that you only occasionally do those things or meet those expectations when you have an exceptional amount of energy and resources available. But when you say the kids have been sick recently, no one's going to question that. And more to the point, no one's going to think you're autistic. Maybe not even you yourself. Do you regularly make excuses for not doing the thing that everyone is expecting you to do? Sorry, I've had a big week. I'm too tired to meet this weekend. The reality is, I'm always like this, and big social gatherings drain me at the best of times. And what no one realizes is that I'm saying no because it's a big social gathering, and if the event was more accessible, maybe I would still go. Okay, again, I'm exaggerating these a lot, but can you see yourself in any of these behaviors? If so, the next obvious question is, yeah, but doesn't everyone do that? How is that an autistic thing? Good question, because next we're going to address one of the biggest misconceptions about autistic masking. So when learning about autistic masking, a very, very common objection is, yeah, but doesn't everyone do that? So firstly, it's worth remembering something that Barry Prezant often says, which is that there's no such thing as autistic behavior, only human behavior. So in a sense, you're right. Yes, everyone does these things to some degree. Everyone makes excuses. Everyone puts in effort. Everyone asks for help. The key thing here is how much and to what degree. If I suppress 10% of my needs 10% of the time, is that masking? What about 90% of my needs 90% of the time? Has a bit of a different quality to it, doesn't it? Or what about suppressing one of my needs 100% of the time for decades? The biggest downside of masking is that by ignoring my own needs, I'm not getting them met, and eventually that's going to lead to burnout. You may be able to push through a little bit, but eventually it's going to catch up to you. So if you're making excuses for yourself all the time, maybe it's because the world wasn't built for you. If you're staying quiet and saying nothing because entering the arena of life at all is just too dangerous, then maybe it's because the world wasn't built for you. After a while, chronic masking is not bringing the best version of yourself. It's suppressing your true self and replacing it with a socially appropriate alternative. And that's where we've crossed the line between healthy social reciprocity and crippling autistic masking. And that's why unmasking is essentially the process of uncovering and recreating a socially successful version of your authentic self. One that's based on your real personality and acknowledges your needs, not one that just comes over the top and pretends what came before doesn't even exist. And now that you're aware of 4 common masking strategies, you can start to notice your own behavior more and more and catch yourself if you happen to do any of these things, because each type of masking requires a different type of unmasking. And I know I didn't really talk much about unmasking today, but I'll make a separate video on that and link it up here or in the description once it's done. So if this video really hit home for you today and you're looking for more support on your autism journey, there are several options to explore on the Autism from the Inside website, both resources to learn more about yourself and also to connect with others in the autistic community. Also, don't forget to hit like on this video, it helps the channel a lot. And as usual, I'm really curious to hear what you thought of this video, so please leave a comment if you can, especially which of the strategies resonated for you the most, or have you noticed other types of masking that I didn't mention in this video? So as usual, thanks again for watching. I hope you liked this video. Check out my website for more support on your autism journey. I'll keep you posted on part 2 of this video on unmasking. But until then, thanks again for watching, and I'll see you next week. Bye.